Good evening, everyone. What's up? Just ate a satisfying meal. Topped it off the measly desserts. Mr. Hotta speaking. Previously, there was a rant on grounded videos with Troy Devinny. Today is gonna be a rant on one of the worst movies in existence. This is one of the worst movies of its year, one of its worst movies of its decade, one of its worst movies of its century, millennium ever in existence, and this is one of the worst. This is probably among the worst sequel ever to have hit the movie theater, been available on DVD and Blu-ray. Thank goodness it's not available on VHS tape because it came out on July 17, 2010. 5 years ago. About 5 years and a month ago. Yeah, 5 years ago. And this is one of Tyler TriStar2's Baxley's favorite movies ever. This movie is so bad. This abysmal travesty has made it to our top 5 of our least favorite movies ever. And this movie, today is a rant with Skype guest Troy Devinny, aka devinnytroy.
Ranting on Toy Story
3. Yeah, Toy Story 3, more like Tootsie Travesty Tootsie. More like, that movie. Thank goodness it's not available on VHS tape.
Ew, it got 99% on Rotten Tomatoes.
And even Chris Thornton destroyed his copy of that movie. He was so mad about it. He even snapped the CD, the DVD in half. He was fed up with having this movie.
It's like this movie was only made to make more money. Hell, even Toy Story 2 is more watchable than this.
And Toy Story 2 is nothing special, even though Mr. Devinny likes it and Chris Thornton likes it. It's their opinion, but Toy Story 3 made Toy Story 2 watchable. Toy Story 3. There's a lot of aspects to talk about this movie. First of all, the plot. The plot was rushed in this movie. It felt like it only took place in 2 days.
It wasn't college.
This movie, yes, it was another 90-minute kids film, and that's the first problem. And the film was spread out in 2 days, too. Story, 2 or 3 days. It was even more rushed than Toy Story 2, and even that was a rushed film. That film came out in 1999, and it took 11 years for them to make this abomination of Toy Story. How could it have taken them 11 years to make such a bad film, for Pixar to make such a bad film?
I cannot believe I saw this horrible movie back in the theater back in 2010.
I saw it back in 2010 too. Didn't even like it when one first saw it, but hated it even more than one used to. In that movie, this movie is nothing like Toy Story 1 or Toy Story 2. The only redeemable quality about this movie is that Andy's finally grown up and is finally an adult. That's the only redeemable quality, personally. But, it's like, how have the toys not collected dust if they're that old? How are they not dusty? The toys have been with him for 11 years.
And also, the toys, near the end of the film, the toys almost catch fire.
And how come half the toys aren't even there anymore? It's like half the toys were forgotten from Toy Story originally. The only characters that they focused on were Woody, Buzz Lightyear, Woody's girlfriend, Rosa, whoever that is, the dinosaur, the dog. Only a few characters, only like a quarter or third of the characters still exist. And they were the only characters they focused on. They didn't even focus on any other characters at all in that film. And then it's like, Andy decides to get rid of his toys, and yet it doesn't even show Andy at all in the film at all. He's only shown the beginning and the very end. The very beginning and the very end. Two opposite sides.
And even worse, this is PG, yet there were many dark scenes that...
How is this a PG rating? This is kiddie. There's no nudity in this movie. How can it be PG?
What meant G I meant?
It better be. shouldn't even be rated at all for how bad it is. It's like half the characters, there was no cassette tape, there were none of the army soldiers, there were none of the other toys, there was no Mary Had a Little Lamb, there was nothing. There were literally no characters in this film from the other Toy Story. It's like, did they die? What happened to them? Were they given away? Were they sold? Were they like pooped on? Were they set on fire? Did Sid destroy them?
It's like these people care about money.
Alright, the only reason the film was made was for money, and that they waited 11 years to make this film, and it was almost as bad as a Sponge Out of Water movie 2. They waited a whole decade and a year to make this movie is as bad as Home and the Range. Ugh. Alright, let's talk about the plot. Let's talk about the plot of this film. Alright, Andy wants to get rid of his toys. The toys go on an adventure. They think they've been used already. And the toys go to preschool. Why is preschool even in this film? Nobody likes preschool. Daycare doesn't even teach anything. And then there's this bear that looks like Barney. Why do they have to make a character look like Barney in this film? And that character, Lotso, he was about the only good character in this whole film. The only character that one could feel sorry for. And yeah, Lotso runs the daycare, which how is that even possible since he's not a person. And then he makes the toys get played with by little kids, and yet all the little kids do is slobber on them, lick them, bite them, hit them. How on earth did the toys attack the little kids? They attacked Sid in the first film, yet they didn't even attack the kids at all. It's like they just stood there. They could have fought. The toys could have actually attacked people, yet they chose not to. Did the creators of the writers of the film not understand that?
Did they care about the money?
It's like why didn't they escape the preschool then? If they were that desperate to get out, they could have simply escaped and not stayed there. And why is Barbie in this film? Nobody likes Barbie.
Even he was briefly, and even Barbie was in the second one, very briefly for a few minutes, and then Barbie ended.
Barbie should not be in this film. Screw Ken and Barbie. All Barbie did was beat up Ken. How did they fall in love at the end of the film? Barbie basically just ripped off Ken's clothes. Why didn't Ken just rape Barbie and finger her then? Why couldn't he just have done that? Is it too kiddie to do that? And Barbie was being a total meanie to Ken for no reason at all, even though they both suck.
They cared about the money.
And the baby, screw the baby. The baby would have to be the worst character in the whole film. And the baby should have been set on fire in front of every character in that show. All the baby does is not talk. It's just a lump of plastic shaped into a baby that throws tantrums and breaks stuff.
And that walks.
That is one of the worst characters ever to movies. The baby's just as bad as Jack from The Incredibles, which that character should have been assassinated by Syndrome. Sorry if that was off topic, though.
Why did that baby was made?
That baby should have never been made. It should have been killed in that film. And yet they chose not to. And they got Lotso to be punished instead. How is that even bad? Lotso just made a structure to make everything go well. And it went well. Until they showed up. Lotso didn't even do anything wrong. All Lotso did was make a structure so that everything would go well for the preschool, and yet nobody. And like, what did he do? He didn't do anything. The reason why he's in charge is because he founded Sunny Side Up. That's why he was in charge, because he founded it, and the characters refused to believe that.
I used to want the DVD of Toy Story 3, but I'm not getting it anymore.
Do not get it. Set it on fire.
DVDs now. It's DVD stuff topic.
Yeah, but we're not. If anyone gets a copy of that DVD, snap it in half and obliterate it and throw it away. That DVD is worthless. It's not even worth a penny.
Not even worth the $25.
Not at all. What else is wrong with that movie? The fight scene. Why'd the baby betray its owner?
And guess what? You're not gonna believe this. It's a rip-off. They ripped off a Silver Fight Club.
What? Why on earth did Lotso get sent to the garbage? Lotso's actually worth something. At least Lotso's worth something. And then, why would Lotso choose to betray the people he could have been friends with? And then, why couldn't the characters just have died at the end? They were about to die, they were about to be scrapped and set on fire, and yet they weren't. How? They do that in every kid's film. It always has to be a good ending. And what on earth also?
If died, it would be a good ending.
If they all died, it would have been a good ending. And how on earth? But no, the aliens, the claw saves them. That didn't even make any sense. How could the aliens have gone to the claw? Another plot hole. The aliens were nowhere near the claw, and they suddenly just appeared. How did those alien toys from Pizza Planet not get set on fire from all that work they had to go through to get to the claw? And how on earth were the toys just able to do that all of a sudden, just look normal? And they get sent to Bonnie, and Bonnie sucked too. Bonnie wasn't even an interesting character at all.
You know what? This is not like food we should of all time.
This is one of the worst movies of all time. It's even worse than Barney's Great Adventure.
You worse than Home on the Range.
And why did Lotso get punished? Why couldn't have Lotso just ran away from the person who picked him up? Did he seriously have to be still when the garbage truck found him? And why were the garbage truck drivers dumb enough to attach him to the car? That's not even what they do. They don't even know how to treat animals at all. And how does it smell like strawberries? Perfume? It's like this film has failed. This film, nothing to do with Toy Story. It is worse than any spin-off. It's as bad as a Scooby-Doo spin-off movies, literally. Oh no,
it's as bad as Home on the Range.
Oh no, it's almost as bad as the Scooby-Doo spin movies. Seriously, how did this movie get so popular?
It's so overrated.
So many people like this, yet they hate Cars 2, and yet they hate Shrek 3, and yet they like this? How? This is worse than any other spin-off. This is even worse than Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated, the Scooby-Doo live-action movies. This is as bad as the Fairly Odd Parents live-action movies and a SpongeBob with water. It's as bad. It's almost as bad as a SpongeBob movie. Ugh. Seriously, a film like this being popular? Wow. People are that dumb to like this film. No offense to them, though. They didn't even see any problems with this film at all. Yet they thought this film was happy ever after. This film was not even that entertaining. It was kind of boring, to be honest.
If school make us watch Toy Story 2, what should we do?
Go to the bathroom. If they make one watch this film in school, tell them that they have to just go to the bathroom for 1 hour until the film ends. Do not watch this film. This film taught nothing about education. It didn't even teach people. It made people dumber by watching this. And why the heck? And Bonnie wasn't even that interesting at all. It's just a little girl. And like.
And one time, Buzz wanted to tell her to speak Spanish.
And Rosa wasn't even cool at all. She was ugly. She wasn't even hot at all. Why did they? That was the wrong. They put the wrong characters in this film. The characters that don't even belong in Toy Story got put. They weren't even thinking when they made this film. They just thought that any character would go for Toy Story since it's a toy. Oh, and Sunny Side Up. Why on earth? And like, they didn't even explain what happened at Sunny Side Up. Barely at all. And it's like, they didn't even explain the structure of the school properly at all.
You know what else?
Yeah?
They are freaking preschool.
That movie did not teach people how to play with toys. It did not teach people about toys. This movie just makes people mad. That's all the movie does.
So, there's so much else to say.
This movie is an abomination. It is probably considered in the top 5 of the worst films of all time. It is even worse than the live-action Fairly Odd Parents movies, the live-action Scooby-Doo movies, any Scooby-Doo movie. It's worse. It is the only movies worse than this are. Well, it's almost as bad as Barney's Great Adventure, but the only movies that are worse than this are the Go anime movies.
And they don't come to worse than this.
Hang on, why are people? Don't even watch these movies at all. This movie gets an F. It doesn't get a 0. It gets probably about a 40. It probably would get like a 50 at most. But the only stuff that's worse than this movie are the worst. Smosh movie is probably worse than this. But even Pixels is better than this movie. It's like.
So, any final thoughts?
No, sadly. We've said it all. Please don't even watch this movie.
I think the next movie we'll be ranting on is Home on the Range.
Yeah, but I don't even know that movie at all very well.
There's so much. I have the VHS. There was so much for me to talk. There was so much to read about Home on the Range. So you want to get end the video?
Yeah, one could. Let's just end this video, shall we? With that, that's all just to say for this rant on Toy Story. See you on the next rant. Peace out. Yeah, good night. This is Mr. Hata, Mr. Devinny signing off. Next rant, Home on a Range. Good night.